Oi, oi, vibes here.
I'm DJ Reminisce. This is Fallows.
Hi, my name's Robbie Edwards.
My name's MC Hurricane.
I'm DJ Reminisce.
Hey, this is Mark. I'm John Edge. MC Lloyd.
Stevie Wonder.
Hi, this is Bob K.
I'm Les Calvert. I'm DJ City TV.
Yes, this is JFMC. You're listening to the Couture 303 podcast
With J Viper, baby.
Welcome back, everyone, to another special episode of the Couture 303 podcast with me, J Viper. And my guest today is the epitome of a legend in the Liverpool club scene. It's the one and only JC, Mr. John Cotton.
How you doing, Jay?
How are we, John? And let's tell you what, mate, it's been a fucking while getting this together, hasn't it?
Mate, I know, it's easy to interview Elon Musk, mate. I'm sorry.
My people speak to your people, and we got there in the end. So I know you're very busy, John. So first and foremost, mate, thank you very, very much for doing this. I really appreciate your time.
No
so we'll crack on. I'm going to start what I always start with, the same question I ask everybody. Where and when were you born, mate?
I was born in Walton, Liverpool, between the two grounds, between Everton's ground and Brewster and Walton Lane there. Yeah. And I was born a long time ago. I was born... yeah, I make no bones about it. I was born in 1956.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So, Fantastic. 56. So what's that? I'm trying to do the math in my head there quick there.
I'm 67.
67. Looking good, John. So what was youth like for a young John? What was school like and stuff like that?
It was good. It was. I actually lived in the street that I went to primary school in. So the school was only like 7 or 8 meters from my front door, and it was still late. I was in primary school, Children's Street. And then when I went to secondary school, I went to Allsop Camp. On the street first on County Road, and then I finished at Allsop Camp. I left there when I was 15.
Yeah. So what was your home life like? Have you got a big family with brothers and sisters and stuff like that?
It's complicated, Jake. That's a whole nother interview.
We'll leave that one then. So
simple. Yeah, I have 3 sisters, but
yeah,
that's complicated.
Okay, so what was school life like for the young John then? Did you excel in anything, or were you a good kid, naughty kid?
I was never in. They didn't even know me in secondary. I was very good at sports, actually. I was done a lot of athletics, represented the county, and actually was picked to represent England as a triple jumper.
Wow.
So it was quite good. So because of that, give me a bit of clout in school. Because they were made up that one of their pupils was a county champion and picked for England. So
what age was that, John?
14, 15.
Yeah, so just before you left, you started to excel in the sports side of things.
So it was me trump cards for being an athlete. So
yeah. So what prompted you to leave early, or was that just the norm back then?
A lot of people left when they were young. I just left at 15. I left with no qualifications at all, and just decided to get out there and see where it took me, because I was never in school, to be honest. I'm self-taught most of the stuff I do now, But yeah, it was magical. It was school, It was in them days in the 70s, and I left school, and it worked out quite well for me.
So where did it take you then when you first left school? Do you remember what your first job was, or your first little vocation?
My first job was actually, I don't even want to mention that one. I was working with a guy who did property repairs, and they're pushing big fucking wheelbarrow around the street with the ladders on. Yeah, and then I lasted there about 3 weeks. Then it's all a bit vague, I had so many jobs. The first real job I can remember, I was working for a company called Music Hire Group, and we were putting jukeboxes in pubs around the country and around the northwest. And then after that, I left. When I got to 16, I joined the Royal Navy, and I was in the Navy you got a 6-month option. Then you could get out at any day that you wanted. You sort of then getting out. And I got out with about 3 hours to spare. Me, got back and got my first ship allocated. And decided that it wasn't for me. Wanted to play music for the masses.
So when did music start to take a part in your life? Then were you a musical kid growing up? Was there music in the household and stuff like that?
I was just absolutely crazy about music from God, as far back as I can remember. Music's always been special to me. I can't even remember the age, but I seem to remember when I was like 9 or 10. getting like music for me Christmas on my birthday. And the first album that I ever had was classical. It was The Planet Suite by Gustav Holst, which I actually loved. But I just love music. Music is just...
It's magic. It's the closest thing adults have got to have.
My daughter's absolutely obsessed.
Yeah.
To get a fix of music. So it's always been there. So it seemed like a natural progression to end up doing what I did.
Yeah. So how did that pan out then? So I know you started out doing like functions and mobile discos and stuff like that. Didn't you? So how did it kind of transpire from being a music fan to go, okay, I'm gonna start sharing this music. I'm gonna start playing it out.
Yeah, I always quite fancied, like, to be honest, when I was with that Music Eye group, I used to get loads of access to loads of records. They used to let me take loads of records. And because I lived in the street where my primary school was, I had a record player and a speaker. And I used to put on the step when the kids were on the playground.
Yeah.
When I was about 16, and just play tunes for them. And they'll be hanging on the railing. But I only had one deck. Then a little bit later, I fancied being a DJ. My mum bought me my first set of decks, which was an SAI 4S, which was just 2 Gbar turntables. Started a mobile DJing company with a friend of mine called the Musical Box Mobile Disco. And I was going around doing weddings and the usual stuff like that.
Yeah, about 10 bob a night.
Oh, yeah. Everyone was 4 flights of stairs up, dragging all your gear in.
Fucking nightmare, isn't it?
Getting pelted to the buffet. But I learned my trade the hard way. And then I started working for an agency in Liverpool called Liverpool Disco Services, LDS, for the guy called Stan Green. And he asked me to do a real dodgy gig one day. And I said, look, I'll do it as long as you give me a crack. A new place that's opened in Liverpool, and there's a pub that opened in the St. John's precinct called Quinn's, which became really famous.
Yeah.
So we said, okay, do this gig for me and I'll give you the shots of that. I got a shot of that, I got the job. And that was that was the starting point of me getting my foot on the ladder. And Quinn's was very, very special. It was only 7 till 10:30 every night, but it was rammed every single night of the week. And we had some really big, in the days when PAs went around, had some really big PAs in there, like Jermaine Jackson and 5 Star and all the bands that were going around doing the things.
This is early 80s then now. Yeah.
I remember, Jay. It's pointless asking me.
I remember 5 Star. I was only a kid back then.
Yeah.
And obviously Jermaine Jackson, the Jacksons kind of started to split, and you had Michael and Jermaine, and there was Tito as well, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was all. We get everyone there. The guy who got me the gigs, got me the PAs, was a guy called Terry Lenane. And
I remember, he used to be on Radio Merseyside, yeah.
Oh yeah, keep on trucking Terry Lenane.
I remember that when I was a kid.
Terry ring me up and said, I've got PAs, so he got this and got that. And he phoned me up once and he said, John, I've got 2 PAs for you for Saturday night. I said, who are they? He said, I've got Alton Edwards. Now, Alton Edwards had been on before, and Alton Edwards had been on Top of the Pops, and he had a tune out called, I Want to Spend Some Time With You. And the fact that he'd been on Top of the Pops since he was last on was just, I was amazed that he wanted to come back. And I said, Alton Edwards, he was been on Top of the Pops the other week. He said, yeah, he loved it. He wants to come back and do his new tune when he's doing his PA. He said, you want him? I said, yeah. He said, you want the second PA? I said, no, just the one. I said, who are they? He said, oh, no, I've never heard them. Just a white you were called Wham.
Oh, fucking hell.
So I went down the old introduce and I missed out on Wham.
Fucking hell. I mean, together, this is early 80s then, when they had Young Guns and all that kind of stuff out, didn't they? They went massive. They were absolutely massive, weren't they?
Yeah, well, they weren't when I think nothing.
Well, everyone's going to start somewhere, John.
I think he's driving a truck down in Birmingham somewhere. I don't know, but I missed the opportunity there. But yeah, that was how I got my foot on the ladder. And from there, it just progressed. And for me, looking back on it, it was a series of good luck and knowing the right people, different to how it is today. Things just fell into place for me, right up to. Everything just fell into place at the right time.
Yeah, I think it is. There's a little bit of luck involved sometimes, and it's being in the right place at the right time. And like you say, it's who you know, not what you know sometimes as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is, and a lot of luck. I think it's changed now. I think now you gotta kiss ass, and you gotta be produced, and so many kids want to do it these days. But when I started off, the DJ wasn't anyone particularly.
No one knew who the DJ was.
No.
You were just tucked away in a corner, and And that was it. No one knew the name of the DJ back in the 70s, the 80s. Jesus Christ.
I know, yeah. I spoke to her again in the club and was chatting her up, and she said, "Did you come here often?" I said, "I was a DJ." I said, "I didn't even know. I didn't even know what he was attending." But yeah, so I just wanted to play music to people, and that was enough for me.
So as well as playing music, am I right in saying you weren't just a DJ at one point? You were an MC as well, MC JC.
Yeah, I was.
He's bowing his head in shame here, boys and girls.
No, it was great at the time, and it's like a really important. It was so much fun. That just come about again by accident. I was, even though I was DJing, it was quite quiet. I wasn't extroverted and nothing like that, but I ended up, it was a long story, but I ended up going down to do an audition at a club called Foxes in Wolverhampton. It was the only purpose-built club that I've ever worked in my life. It held 2,200 people. Went down there, and I thought, I can be anyone I want here, no one knows me.
Yeah.
So I got on the mic and started winding them up and things like that, and it worked really well. And then the following Monday, there used to be a night up in Mr. Smith's in Warrington, Groover, where that was like the big rave night, the Monday night. It was absolutely rammed. It was Dave Graham, Cy Edwards, and me, and I'd play the first hour, then it'd be Cy Edwards and Dave going. And it was a big rave night. I was telling Dave that I'd been down to this club in Wolverhampton and been using the mic, and he said, "Come on with me." I said, "No." He said, come on with me, let's see how it goes." So I grabbed the mic and started emceeing at Mr. Smith's, and that's it. I never DJ'd it again. I got my wages doubled, and I was just the MC, and then I went to the Dome over the water. And,
that's right, yeah.
Yeah, and I come out with started shouting all bollocks. But when I hear the tapes now, I cringe, you know what I mean? But at the time it worked, and it was fun.
The thing is, though, I mean, back then there wasn't really an MC in this. I mean, now MCing is an art form. I don't particularly. I've said this a number of times. I don't particularly like MCs now because I think what you were doing back in the day is what I prefer from an MC. Someone who just hypes the crowd up.
That's right. Yeah.
Big the DJ up. Announce who's coming on next and hype the crowd up.
Yeah,
MCs now are like frustrated rappers. You see them all hanging around the mic and they give it to the other fella and he gets 100 miles an hour.
I agree totally. I mean, that's all I did, wind the crowd up in my own way, and I didn't wind anyone up more than me. I was like totally like fucking absolute bull because it was so much fun. Well, I don't like working with MCs either now. Some of them, don't get me wrong, some of them are absolutely brilliant, but I just feel that the break is in a record is there for a reason. Yeah. And not to be wrapped over. And some MCs, the good ones, know when to do it, when to step back. Some guys just, like you say, they just want to, you know. I like to keep the record as pure as it was produced. But yeah, I just want the crowd up.
Yeah, there's too many MCs out there now who think that the people are there to see them, and they're not. People are there to predominantly listen to the music, which is provided by the DJ, and the MC's there as a garnish. You know, you wouldn't have you'd have a plate of chips and a little bit of tomato sauce, or you wouldn't have a plate of tomato sauce. And I think that's what these MCs think they are. They think they're the fucking plate of tomato sauce.
Yeah, I don't like, you know, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not putting MCs down. Some of the MCs at Reminisce are absolutely fucking brilliant. You really are, and I'm saying that to you now, guys. You're great, and I work with MCs up there because that's the format of the thing, but it's no when to MC and when not. I don't like sax players. Again, it sounds like the man with the red face is on all fucking night. You know, like, and they just, you know, I truly believe that the break is in a record for a reason. So that when you come out the break, a bit of impact. Yeah. And when I've worked in Holland, I've turned the sax players off, you know, and nearly had a fight with a guy. He kept turning it off, and I kept turning it on. I kept turning it off. And then
I've never understood that, the sax player. I mean, the MC, like I say, listen, for what it's worth, some of them are so fucking talented and they're really, really good. It's just, it's like the police. The minority ruin it for everybody else. You know, there's a lot of good police officers out there who we look towards for support and respect. But unfortunately, there's fucking knobheads out there who put a bad name on it. Yeah. It's the same with MCs. A good MC can really make a night fantastic, but a bad MC sadly can ruin it.
I just say some of the ones that Reminisce are actually brilliant. You know, when I listen to them and go into when I'm in the main arena or I go down to see Rob Kane and the MCs in there, I think, wow, brilliant.
Yeah, they are. Some of them are really good, aren't they? So you am I right in saying you were instrumental in the start of Fallows nightclub?
That's right, yeah. I sort of I guided him right through the whole thing.
This John Fallows.
This is John Fallows, yeah, and his family, Jeff, Leslie, Barry. John Fallows owned a squash club up in Kirby, and he had disco on one Saturday night, and he also owned Beaches, which is on the Aintree Industrial Estate now. But this club in Kirby, his manager was in Quinns, the club I told you about, and he said, "Who does your lights?" He said, "John Cotton does it." And I went up there, got to know him, fitted some lights in this place in Kirby, and then he showed me Beaches, and I said, his busiest night was when he had a DJ on, but he had cabaret on. I said, "If you ever want to go with DJs," I said, "that's where the money is now. That's what we want." You know, he said, "No, I know cabaret, I know cabaret." I said, "Well," but anyway, he ended up selling Beaches, which was sitting right in the middle of that industrial estate. And then he phoned me up and he said, "I want to build a nightclub." And I got involved right from the start. I went to the site in Haitian Road, put the team together, helped with the design of the club, sound system, lights, spoke to all the big companies, High Tech and Over Audio, and helped him with it because he knew nothing.
Yeah.
And I put the team of DJs together, and it was an instant success. And then I also found the buzz for him, and I named the buzz for him. I named the buzz for him, helped him in Fallows too. The buzz, I just parked my car in Skillone Street bus station. He said he was looking for somewhere, and I seen a sign on the building for sale, and I said to the car park guy, "Who owns that?" And he gave me a card. He said, "Them," and give it to Johnny, phoned them up, and they got it. And again, I was really instrumental in helping put that venue together, you know. So I helped him go from like a squash club in Kirby, making an absolute fortune out of nightclubs. But we fell out in the end. But you know, he was a good guy, and we had a bit of an adventure. But yeah.
See, this is why I do these podcasts, because obviously there'll be a lot of people listening to this who won't know what you've just said there in the past 5 minutes is history in Liverpool's clubland. You know, John Fallows, who not only had Fallows but Fallows too, started out with a squash club and ended up, you know, he started the buzz as well. This is the whole reason why I do these podcasts, for stories like that. It's fantastic.
I guided John through the lot. And the kids were quite young when we started. Jeff was about the oldest, I think about 16. Leslie was a bit younger. And then Barry was quite young. And I helped them all with the whole thing. And they made a lot of money. But yeah.
So how did you find the transition when you went from being a function DJ where you're not mixing? Did the mixing side of things come naturally to you, or was it that just sort of, you know? There was no tutorials back then. You couldn't go on YouTube and learn how to mix or go to a DJ school.
Yeah, I was a bit late on the dance scene, to be honest, on the mixing thing. When I say late, I was probably 12 months behind a guy who I worked with called Dave Ralph, who got into it. And
another legend.
Yeah. So I was a bit late in it, but I remember I was still doing like normal DJing because that was still really big. You know, we could play like you know, a bit of indie, you know, in excess and you know, this and that, and then you play some slowies at the end and some soul and all the commercial stuff, Rick Astley and all that. And I was still using the mic in between tunes and doing. And then I went to a night in town by a guy called Paul Myers called Smile for Cheeky Sausages, and it was in Rio's. And this guy had the whole place draped out. And he was playing all like progressive stuff, but old type progressive stuff. I just blew my mind. I just thought, oh my God, there's a different type of music out there for me. And then I got into the dance thing and just started teaching myself how to mix. And then and then with the Wolverhampton thing, I started playing. It was when Two Unlimited were coming on. It was just getting quite popular and all that. Yeah. So yeah.
And so, do you remember what your first decks were in that capacity? Apart from the twin deck type things, you remember the first time you actually got mixing turntables and stuff like that?
Well, we had them in Quinns, and I didn't know what the thingies was. But on the other side, I didn't see the point because you know it just made the record go squeaky and go faster. I'd slide it up and down to show people what to do, but it always stays on the green.
Like a novelty.
And the first guy I seen mix was an American guy. His name was Danny Pucciarelli. He was from New York. And he came over and done a he was doing a little tour in the UK, and he was mixing in Bunters, which went on to become the Sunrise.
Wow.
When he played over, that was called Bunters, and I went up there to see him, and he was mixing 2 copies of Michael Jackson. I want to be starting something, just chopping it in, chopping it out, and I was like, what the fuck?
It's like magic, isn't it?
Yeah, it's voodoo. So, and I got to know him quite well as well. He was like a big DJ in New York. So that was the first time I seen it. So then I bought some equipment, started practicing, and just it just went from there, you know.
The Couture 303 podcast is now officially sponsored by Dapper Turkish Barbers in Hunts Cross. You can find them on Wood End Avenue and they do the full service there. The hair, the beard, the ears, the nose, the cutthroat, the hot towels, the lot. It's the only barbers I ever go to. Fantastic service, great lads. No need to book, just pop in and see them 7 days a week. If you want a nice sick fade like mine, you will not be disappointed. The absolute best in the area. That's Dapper Turkish Barbers, Wood End Avenue, Hunts Cross. And now back to the show. Yeah, so you obviously, I think, so your big start in like the kind of club scene was probably Fallows and the Buzz then, would you say?
Well, Fallows, yeah, I suppose so. Before that, I was doing stuff, but that was the transition in Fallows, going from being like a regular DJ to starting incorporating dance music. And then when by the time the Buzz come on, I was full on with dance stuff then.
Yeah. Who else was playing around that time, John?
In Fallows, it was me, Dave Ralph, a guy called Chris Lyons, Alan Bates. In the Buzz, the team we put together was Derek Kay, me, can't remember. Johnny on lights, Tony lights, Chris Lyons was involved, I think, as well. Cy Edwards. So the same guys. They were all just up around the scene, yeah.
Yeah, and did you ended up playing in the 051 and stuff like that as well, did you?
Yeah, I played there a couple of times, but
the States as well.
I played there a couple of times, but it was the Buzz for me. That was the main thing. And Rio's when the Buzz lost its license.
Yeah.
And then for the interim time there, I got a like going to Rio's, and that was really good.
Yeah. So off the back of that, you've had some foreign gigs where you played in Holland and Denmark as well. How did they come about, and what were they like?
I played everywhere. Well, the first time I played away was Hong Kong.
Wow.
In Kowloon, Sim Sat Choi. I went there. I had a 6-month contract. I lasted about 6 weeks. Didn't like it.
What did you like about it?
Oh, it just wasn't me at all.
Just the environment there, or?
It was just like, I don't know really. Like my boss was a girl called Jane Senior, and she'd write down if I did a mix that wasn't 8-beat. She'd get me up in the morning to fucking go down the club and practice, and then they make you play until the last customer went out, and sometimes you'd have 2 Chinese guys sitting at a table, just fucking chewing each other's ear off, and you'd play to them.
Not even listening to the music.
No, and I missed home, and then I didn't really like that. But then I really started to do well in Holland. My friend was an engineer over there, and he was friends with a guy called Stoney, Ton Slotboom, and another DJ from Utrecht called John Mackay. And he brought them all over here just for a trip around Liverpool. And they come to see me. And this John Mackay said, "Would you like to come and play in Utrecht in this club, the Shiva?" I went back there. And when I went back, that was the first time I'd played in Holland. And then they took me out one night. The night I wasn't playing, they took me to the Escape in Amsterdam. And it's a story we're telling in the interview, because just showing you the way things can fall into place. They took me to the Escape in Amsterdam. Just for a night out, which I was amazed. And I was sitting there, and there was a girl with us called Peter, and she said, "Do you want to come and sit with me while I want to make a spliff?" I said, "Yeah, go on." So we sat at the table, and she's making a spliff, and we're trying to talk. She can't speak very much English, and I couldn't speak any Dutch at the time. But a guy sat opposite us, big fat guy, Pakistani guy, and I'm talking to this Peter, and this Pakistani guy sitting opposite me, he's huge, he is, and he goes, "Fuck it up the arse, mate." And I'm like, I just ignored him. And at first, he was English, and I just ignored him and kept him talking to him. And then a few minutes later, he went, "Fuck the arse, mate." And I was like, ignored him again. And then in the end, I thought, if you go again, I'm going to say something. So he said, "Go on, mate, she wants it." Fuck it up the arse. And then I looked at him, and he burst out laughing, and I burst out laughing. And then she said, "Do you know him?" I said, No. And he went, he put his hand up. He said, "All right, mate, what's your name?" I said, "John." He said, "What are you doing here?" He said, "You're on holiday, having a little break?" I said, "No, I'm a DJ." He said, "You're a fucking DJ, mate." He said, "You're playing here on Sunday night." And he was the promoter.
Fuck off.
The DJ in the Grasshopper.
Wow.
Now, the Grasshopper, even though it was a coffee shop, everyone played there, like DJ Jean and all the big Dutch DJs played there. It was like one of them culty places. So he said to me, "You going on Sunday night?" I didn't know nothing about the place. Told me Dutch friends. I said, "I'm playing the Grasshopper on Sunday night. I've just met a guy." They said, "It's a fucking great gig, mate." So big for him. He said, "Brilliant, mate." He said, "You're playing for me now, for the House of Bounce organisation." and he introduced me to everyone, into all the DJs. I knew everyone, Lock and Load, and Jean. I played with Jean and loads of Dutch DJs, and I played I played Fast Forward, 350,000 people. That was the first like Holland's Love Parade, the first one. I played for them.
Say that again. How many?
350,000 people.
Jesus Christ, John.
I was on truck number 2. Truck number 1 was the It, I think, or the Escape, and we'd never done it before, so we didn't really know what to expect. So we were all in the docks in Rotterdam, dead early in the morning, dressing the trucks and all that, and practicing. And we went out at 1 o'clock, and as we went out, they had like this lead convoy. We all went out, and I just went around the streets of Rotterdam for 5 hours. I played from there, and then he introduced me to other people, which led to other stuff. And as a consequence of that, I got loads. I played loads of places. I played played Hong Kong, Holland about 20 or 30 times. I played Denmark. I've played South France. I've played Milan Fashion Week twice. I've done Bali. I've done Jerusalem twice. Haifa. Yeah.
Fantastic. So when you used to go to Holland, you used to get Shanghai by people to get records, didn't you?
Yeah. I was like a music mule.
A mule.
What happened was
coming on with a 12-inch up your ass.
Would be the first time.
Yeah.
We're getting to know Max. Max introduced me to all the distribution, so I could go in the record shops like Midtown and Outland and all that, and just walk behind the counter. But the main one he introduced me to was a guy down in Hoofddorp, which is about 5 minutes on the train from Schiphol. So I'd get there in the morning, get train down to Hoofddorp to Astro Distribution, and I'd be waiting there when they opened up.
Yeah.
Me playing it in 6:30, I'd be standing outside, and they go, "Hey, Djing, guy," and they take me in, give me a turntable, an amp, a set of headphones, and a box full of records that I hadn't even made the shops yet. Wow. And they weren't even out there, and they knew what I was into, and I'd just sit there for like a couple of hours, and they'd bring me sandwiches and toast and them.
Okay, now.
And I found them absolute gems. Megan's, excuse me. At the end, when I bought the stuff, they said to me, "Don't tell anyone what you play." And they give me stick-on labels, little. So I'd just stick them on, and I'd just make my own titles up.
Yeah.
And I knew what the tune was, but by that title, I didn't know what the real titles of the tune were. Yeah. And I'd have to look around for titles. So what can I call this one? I know, I'll call it The Interview by Jay Viper. People come in the DJ box and
follow it.
Saying, "Have you got The Interview by Jay Viper?" And they're going, "Who's playing it?" And they go, John Cotton. Stuff on everything. So I didn't sell anyone before Shazam, before all that. I had like a gold mine access to something totally different. Yeah.
So you mentioned Midtown Records there. Obviously, for those uninitiated, obviously I was DJing myself in the mid-90s. Midtown Records was like the Die Witness and stuff like that, wasn't it? So you
Lock and Load. They were all on Midtown as well.
Were they on Midtown originally as well? Yeah, I know they got signed over here as well. But were they on Midtown? So I mean, you must have been getting some of the the stuff, like the kind of stuff that we remember, like Dave Graham playing back in the day. Well, you were getting all that as well, like before everybody else, because obviously you were getting it first hand, weren't you?
No one was getting this stuff. I'm not blowing me up, but no one had even heard of the Dutch house sound. Okay, I'll tell you that. And, Rob said, he brought me out on stage and said, "This is the guy who brought this sound to Liverpool." Because I was really into Patrick Prince and Moving Melodies stuff, and I broke Artemisia in Liverpool. I was the first guy back with that, and loads of other stuff on the labels. But the guy who started Lock and Load, it was Niels Pipers. They were friends. I was friends with Jean. Jürgen.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So Maxi Groove, I can't stress how much of an influence Max was to me. I actually love the guy. Yeah. Max, it was so influential. He said to me, "Listen to this, mate. You want this, you want this, you want this." And he said to me, "Don't tell anyone what you're playing, and do this, and use your EQ more, and do this and do that." And he took me under his wing a little bit. He was from London.
Yeah, originally from London, yeah.
He was from London, yeah. And he's the funniest guy I've ever met in my life.
Yeah. So you were one of the first DJs that I know, and you might be the first to use a logo, the little logo with the little man with the headphones on. So how did that come about? Did you, that sort of little doodle you did? What made you think of, I'm going to have a logo as well as a name?
Yeah, a girl that I knew at the time, her friend in school was a really good artist, and I said, look, yeah, give him to design me something. His name was John Lennon, actually, probably John Lennon, and he
Yeah.
done that.
Yeah.
The headphone man, yeah.
So what year was that?
I can't remember again in the
Was it
90s.
early on, like, yeah?
Yeah. So he done me that, and I said, that's absolutely brilliant.
And it's just stuck. Because a lot of people now have logos, don't they? But you were, to my knowledge, the first one to ever utilise that.
Yeah, I used it on all my mixes and CDs and stuff like that, and it's worked quite well.
Well, funnily enough, where you used to get your tapes recorded or printed, and my mate works there, Steve Baker, his dad Phil, express signs or screen services that depend on which.
I know,
Yeah, we were talking about it on the phone the other day. I've known Steve for a long time.
Used to be over the other side of Liverpool, down by the dock road, around by the docks, by the Baltics, we were around there.
That's right. Yeah, he started by over the road from Bogan's Carpets.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So we were discussing the other day. Yeah.
Tapes, they were great.
Yeah, the old tapes. There's people watching this now going, tapes. What the fuck's a tape?
Clean up on the tapes, because not many people had like a tape-to-tape machine so they could copy it. So
yeah,
I just had a rack of 6 of them behind me there, and all my gear, and just put 6 in and the master one and press record at the same time, and turn them all over, record, stick the labels on, and maybe one when they sell the tapes and wages.
I know, yeah. That's it. Well, I think DJ Tricks did a podcast with Malloy Lee, and he was talking about how lucrative the tape business was. He made a fortune of tapes, Mike Tricks.
Yeah, I'd take a box into the boat and I'd have some, because I didn't have the time to sell them. I was just going to the mic, said the new tapes out, and read like a fucking queue. Yeah,
that's it. Yeah, a fortune. So it wouldn't be an interview without John Cotton if we didn't discuss the Gbar. I think you spent, was it 12 years there as residents? How did that come about, and have you got any fond memories from there? Because it's quite a large portion of your career, that, isn't it?
Yeah, the Gbar is very special for me. There's something about the place. Pound for pound, put my neck out here, it's Liverpool's most successful club ever, because it's been going forever and it's still going.
Yeah.
And I know that it's been the Cream and the State and the Buzz and the 05 and all that, but they
were big for the time, weren't they? But the Gbar's got the longevity.
Yeah, and the way it happened was a friend of mine said to me, Joe Lynch said, do you want to, Joe Lynch on the Gbar originally said to me, do you want to come down and do an hour before Jimmy J was the resident there playing trance. Jimmy's a great trance DJ, and it was the only after hours at Liverpool then. It opened at we used to close it. It was full on day until 2, and then it reopened at 3. But just downstairs, and it was just Coke and water, Coke to drink and water.
Yeah, just got to clarify that one.
And 10 quid to get in.
Yeah.
But it was queues down the street because this was when ecstasy was around. The party didn't stop, and the music stopped in the clubs. People wanted to carry on. So anyway, I went down. And I played for the first hour, but I had nothing really subtle. I didn't warm up. I just went for it because everyone was ready to go in the Gbar. They come down the stairs and they'd just been in clubs, so they would all buy it up. So they just start. So I was playing some quite tough stuff, real bouncy stuff. And Jimmy didn't like it. And I get it, you know what I mean? It was his baby.
Stepping on his toes a little bit and taking the limelight off him.
Yeah, so, well, I wasn't trying to do that. I was just playing my thing, but this stuff sounded totally different when he went on, so we had to sort of snap it back to France. So what happened was we had a meeting between me, Jimmy J, and Joe Lynch, and Joe Lynch said, look, I'm going to put you in that top room. I don't open it on Saturday. Just go in there, do your own thing. So we get on. I said, yeah, go on. And I went in there. They had 4 shitty speakers. They had a shitty mixer, 4 lights. And he just said, do your thing. And it just went nuts. And then eventually I just started doing my own thing. And it grew and grew. Then he got a bigger sound system in there. Then he put new all lighting in. And then the rest is history. And that's how I got the church room.
So where did the name the church come? Was that your idea? It's called the church, or was that
called the church before? Because there's if you look in there down by the down as you come into the room, just on your left, there's an open fire there, and there's like a cross in the glass. Okay. And there's stained glass windows in there as well. Yeah. So they called it the church, but it used to have big lush sofas in there and all that. But gradually, as it got popular, the sofas went, because you get someone who was absolutely wasted coming and going. So we got rid of them, and it was just great in there because the room developed around me, because I was given that room to do whatever I want. I didn't have to follow anyone. I didn't have to set a precedent. It wasn't like an established, whatever room. It was do what you want. So the people who were coming, so we were all on exactly the same wavelength. So when I went to Holland and fine tunes, I knew that they were going to love this, love that, and it was like a private party every week. It was round, and it was so exciting. Because they used to close at 2, and there'd be like proper buzzing in there, but like between 2 and 3, Judy, the boss, or Cara, be saying, "Come on, let's get the bar stocked up. All the glass lads will be brushing up, cleaning up. I'll be ready." The doorman will come over and say, "Fucking hell, John, you want to see the bottom of the street, on the top of the street?" And everyone's getting dead excited, and then Judy shouts, "You ready? Everyone ready?" And then they'd open the doors, and that was it.
Yeah. I never got in there. I mean, it's not surprising looking at me. It was very much a gay friendly place. Even though I could get into Garlands now and again, and even I had trouble getting in Garlands some nights. But I never got in the Gbar. I tried a number of times, and I just kind of gave up at the end because of obviously the way I looked. It
was very difficult to get. I don't think I'd have got in if I wouldn't have been playing there. It was a very, very strict door.
Yeah.
But there was never any trouble in the Gbar, and it was just great. It was like for me, it was like playing. I played the Gbar. I mean, firstly, I've never ever in my whole career played a tune I didn't like. I've played some and gone off them and stopped playing them, but I've never actually thought I'll have to play that because they go for it. And the Gbar was like a luxury for me. I played the Gbar as if I was playing at home on it for myself.
Yeah. So on a more personal level, at the ripe old age of 49, you became a father for the first time. Yeah. How did you find? I mean, obviously, as someone, I've got older kids, so I had kids when I was younger, and I've had kids again in my later years, should we say? So I see both sides, but was it a tough transition for you at 49 becoming a dad?
No, I am a bit old to be a dad, but she's like clubbing with me now. I actually loved it, and I wanted to have a girl, and she's coming out of the Gbar with me now, and she went to Parklife the other week, and she's obsessed with music, and she has to sit me down sometimes and try to explain how much she loves music, and she's really eclectic with what she likes. I was listening to playing music in a room a couple of months ago, and 1 minute she'd have on me, and then she'd have on like piano anthems, and then she'd have on hip hop, and then she'd be playing Roy Orbison or the Beatles or like stuff from the 50s, like Lay Your Head on My Shoulder. Yeah, I was like, I thought you were doing it for my benefit. And she said,
yeah.
She said, "No, I love music, Dad, and I can't function without music." So, but yeah, it's been great being a dad. I've loved it,
Yeah. So I'm quite conscious of time now, John. So we've got a couple more points to go over, then we'll let you go. So in 2016, you retired, and you very quickly turned that round. Obviously, I understand why you retired, because you've been doing it for a very long time. But what was the decision to reverse that decision? Was that something you regretted immediately, or did it take time to sink in, or what?
No, once when I announced my retirement, I thought, right, you've had a good run. It's time to call it a day.
How many years have you been playing at that point, John?
In 2016, I've been playing for 40. I've been playing 50 years. I've been playing for 50 years now.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I was 17 when I started with my mobile, and I've never really played. So yeah, I decided to pack it in, but didn't take me long to realise that I'd made a bad decision. But then I thought, no, you've got to go with it. You've said you'd retire, and that's it. Then the Gbar approached me to come and play their birthday, and they said, "Look, come out of retirement and play this." It wasn't a proper goodbye the way you done it, and you need to say. And I've been I really did want to come out of retirement, but I released a statement. I apologised to everyone. I got it wrong. And I came out of retirement, but I did make a mistake, and I hold my hands up and say it wasn't planned. That it's just, again, circumstances. The Gbar approached me, and I really wanted to come back, and I apologise again to everyone.
I don't think anyone needs an apology. I think people are just happy that you were back. Obviously, you've got a legion of fans in this city and beyond who were very happy that you'd made that wrong decision and decided to come back. So off the back of that, you ended up playing at Reminisce Festival. Did you play the first ever Reminisce Festival?
I don't know. Yeah, I played the first, second. I don't know how many years it's been on. I played a few, and then I stopped playing for a few, and then and then I went back to play for them again. Yeah.
Yeah, I seen a video of you. I think we'd already had a conversation last year about coming on the podcast, and you'd agreed to do it, obviously time permitting. And then Reminisce Festival last year, I think I was following your Instagram, and you'd put some videos up, and I showed me missus. I said to Jenny, I said, "Look at that." She said, "What? That's John Cotton at Reminisce." She was like, "Fuck off." I went, "Yeah, he's totally fucking good, you know," because my missus is really into that kind of stuff. I said, "He's fucking boss, you know, John. He's a proper legend in Liverpool." And she said, "Are we in the main tent with the big crowd in front of you and all that?" And yeah, you know, fucking rocking away. Yeah.
Reminisce is great. I've watched it grow. I've watched them learn. They had a bit of a hiccup the other year, but you know, it wasn't really all their fault. And it's turned into such a well-organised professional event.
Yeah, really is.
I made up for them because they work hard on it and they take big risks. But I remember the first year, you know, I think they learned so much that year. And once the sun went down, all the local rats were all swarming over the fence and Fat Doman chasing them around the fields.
Yeah.
But you know, but they've got it right now, and they've really got it right.
It's like a well-oiled machine. Obviously, I've had the luxury of being behind the scenes in the Man Studios. I've got a show now in the Man, and I've heard some of the conversations going on, and it just gives you an insight to what. I remember speaking to Steve Hockey, I think it was January, and him and Ian Redmond were having a conversation privately about some artists, and I said it, and I like gagging in, like I went, "I was this you're nearly, you know, finalising Reminisce this year." And he just laughed and went, "We're talking about people for next year. This is January of this year. That's how far ahead they plan, like."
If you've ever tried to organise an event, just an event, even a Gbar or something like that, you can see how much, you can't imagine what it's like to organise something on that scale.
On that, yeah.
Reminisce scale. There's so much going on, and there's so much hard work goes into it. So I talk to the guys, you know, they've got it well, and it gets better every year, better and better. And, you know, I know that when they had the other year, when they had some issues, and it absolutely broke them. You know, they really, really, really want to give people a good day out. And it's a good day out.
I spoke to Steve Hockey about that on the podcast when I did a podcast with Steve Hockey in January. And he went quite in depth about it, and you could really feel the emotion. You know, he didn't want to fucking disappoint people, and like you say, a lot of it was out of their hands. You know, there was things they could have done and couldn't have done or should have done, whatever. They've learned from it all, but you know, I could really see it. It wasn't a monetary thing. He really was fucking really hurt the fact that people hadn't had a good time. And you know yourself, when you're in the public eye and everyone thinks you're this and everyone thinks you're that, it's great. That one person who goes, "Oh, John Cotton's a knobhead."
Yeah,
you can't ignore it. You want to, but you can't. You'll always lock onto it.
I am a knobhead, like, but I get it. But I got it when I came out of retirement, and you know, each time we put an event up, there's someone who pops up and says, "You're fleecing people and you're doing this and all that." Well, if you took all these comments on board, then you'd have your head in the bin all day. You've got to just ignore them and let them get on with it.
Yeah, I've never seen you hold anyone up to fucking ransom to get money out of the pockets. John. If people want to pay the money to come and see you, it's you know, it's a free choice, isn't it? You know what I mean? Yeah. But you know, like you say, you're always going to get a knobhead. Right, John, we're going to finish off now with some quick fire questions because I know you've got to get off somewhere today. Right, John Cotton, I will take your first answer and your first answer only.
Ooh.
Summer or winter?
Winter.
Most expensive luxury you've ever treated yourself to?
Ooh, watches usually. A nice watch. I like a nice.
Who would you most like to spend time in a studio with?
At the moment, Michael Beebe.
KFC or Burger King?
Ooh, I've got to make the choice. KFC.
Alton Edwards or Wham?
Sorry, Alton. Got to be Wham.
Do you remember your wear on the turn of the millennium?
Yeah, Gbar.
Billy Butler or Lee Butler? Because I know you've played with them both over the years.
Oh, Lee.
DJ or production?
DJ.
On chips, gravy or curry?
Ooh. Definitely not gravy. Curry.
What scares you?
Old age.
What's the one thing you'd rid from the world?
Religion.
Building a sandcastle or building a snowman?
Building a snowman.
On chips again, red sauce or mayonnaise?
Mayo. It's Dutch thing.
Alive or dead? If you go and see anyone in concert, who would it be?
Queen.
Who, sorry?
Queen.
Wing.
Queen.
Oh, Queen, sorry. Oh, with Freddie Mercury.
Yeah.
Coke or Pepsi?
At the moment, Pepsi.
And the final question, John Cotton, what's the best podcast you've ever been on?
I'll go this one, of course.
Oh, you make you say that to all the boys. Right, John, thank you so much for this. I know you've been incredibly busy lately, and we've been trying to put this together for probably best part of 12 months now. So I really appreciate your time and your stories, John. Thank you so much. Anything you want to say at the end? Any shouts or mentions?
Thanks for the interview. Thanks for everyone who supported me over the years. I hope you all know that I'm in it for the music. I love music, and all the other things that spin off as a result of that are a bonus. But the bottom line for me is music and my love of music. Thank you.
Thank you very much, John, and thank you everyone for tuning in. Who knows what's next? I say this every week, every time I do a podcast. I don't know what's next. I genuinely don't know what's coming up next or who's coming up next. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you all soon. Take care, guys. Thank you.
Good luck to you, Jay.